Is this the end of the bull run for gold? We are seeing a potential head and shoulders for gold. We are going to look at the key levels in this video that matters. Welcome everyone to another daily market update for the Forex market and gold. We're going to look at crypto as well, Bitcoin. If you're new around here, my name is EURUSD. I am a professional trader and market analyst. Make sure that you hit that subscribe if you want more daily updates like this one, and let me know in the comments if you like these daily updates and if you want me to look at anything specific. I'm going to dive into gold here first and foremost. So what I have here is a potential head and shoulders pattern forming for gold. Now it's quite clear here, as you can see, we have a high here, breakout, higher high, a low, higher high. So here's obviously an uptrend. Okay, now even if this is not a perfect head and shoulders, it doesn't really matter if price follows the concept of the head and shoulders perfectly. What's important with the head and shoulders is the transition right here where you have the equal lows and then a lower high. This tells us that the trend is losing momentum, because instead of creating a higher low, it creates an equal low. So that means that the moves to the downside are the sellers are have more confidence, the seller are more aggressive, and then that potential lower high cements the idea of a potential break of structure, and then a break below that neckline obviously confirms the breakdown. And then you have something called the measured move. Now the measured move for a head and shoulders is measured like this: from the top of the head down to the neckline. All right, and then you double that from the neckline to the downside, and this then becomes the measured move. Now the measured move is not always perfect, and if you find a good high time frame level close to that measured move, I would go for that instead. And in this instance, we have that high time frame support at around the area between 3,100 and 3,150. That would be the target, the high time frame target for a move like this. Now, the head and shoulders is not confirmed, okay? Price can still, the head and shoulders is only confirmed when you have an actual break of the neckline. So that's important to remember. And then we also have to remember that we do have a good looking zone around 3,230-ish right here that might have been front run on that recent move down yesterday. So the head and shoulders can look like this instead as well, right? It doesn't have to have a right shoulder here. It can be just maybe that is the high of the right shoulder, and if price then breaks down here, then that is the confirmed pattern as well. Now, what would invalidate this pattern? What would invalidate is we move above this 3,400-ish level where we have the latest swing low on the lower time frames as well. So a move that kind of moves up like this. Now this could still be a right shoulder up here, as would just be a asymmetrical head and shoulders, right? But what's important is that the move down isn't going like that if it's going to get invalidated. What's important for this pattern to be invalidated is to create a higher low and then a move higher. That would invalidate the pattern. So a move up and then a bounce and a new higher low would invalidate the head and shoulders structure. Let's go into the 1 hour to see if we can find anything interesting here. Actually, let's go into the 15-minute. So what I have here on the 50-minute is some type of a low time frame range here. I am looking for a potential gap fill. So we have a gap at the range low support at 3,300. If we fail to hold at 3,320, I'm looking for a move down to 3,300 for a move to fill that gap. And a potential reclaim of the 3,350 area might mean that we have a bigger breakout to perhaps hit that latest swing low in the low time frames, the invalidation area for the potential invalidation area for the head and shoulders. So that's gold, and I believe these low time frame levels are the levels to watch if you're trading gold on the lower time frames. Let's move to the S&P 500. I'm going to look at the S&P 500 first from the daily perspective. Okay, so what I'm watching right here is so yesterday we had a very bullish move. A lot of conviction from the buyers here. But if you look at that wick right here, what this tells us is that we went up into that high time frame resistance zone, closed the candle below this 0.618. So this is the short reload zone, and that reload zone is measured from that high to that low using the fib tool, and the reload zone is the area between the 0.618 and the 0.786. So we are now trading. We are seeing a push to the downside after that big wick. So this tells us that there's a lot of selling pressure in this area. I would view this as a bearish development for the S&P 500. Let's go into the lower time frames to see if we can find any interesting levels here to watch. So what happened here was the move after that gap up yesterday took us straight to the local highs, the range highs of this range, and we're now trading close to the range EQ area. We have broken below this important level, which is that low right here at around 5,344. We're breaking low. If you look at the lower time frames, we are sort of having a potential bearish retest of this level, and if this bearish retest is confirmed and we start to move lower, I am looking at a potential gap fill of that gap at 5,350. Of course, this is not financial advice, but if I had to trade this, I would probably be looking at something like this, a nice little 1.5R trade here on the S&P 500. Let's move on to the Bitcoin. Okay, so what do we have right here? On Bitcoin, we're looking at a strong move to the upside here. We went straight up into the high time frame resistance here on the daily. As you can see, I got a lot of drawings here on the lower time frames that I forgot to remove from the daily. But as you can see right here, we do have a strong rejection at this level, showing us that the resistance is doing its job. It's acting as resistance. I'm going to go into the lower time frames because we do have an important pattern forming here on Bitcoin. We do have a potential head and shoulders pattern here on Bitcoin as well. Remember what I said with gold. When you have a head and shoulders like this, the main importance is not that it's following the rules of the pattern perfectly. You can see one wick to the downside taking out the neckline, one wick of the up to the upside taking out the head of this pattern. But we do have the same type of characteristics right here, where we have a high, higher high, lower low, and then you break the neckline. So when doing this analysis, we were actually trading right here. So we now have that breakdown. So that is the first initial support. The first initial support is around 91,609 right here. It looks like we front ran that level right here. What I'm looking at right now is a potential bearish rejection at this level right here. A move up, bearish rejection, and potentially a move down to either the measured move of the head and shoulders or all the way down to the untested breakout area. If you go over to the 4-hour, you will see that that is a very good looking untested breakout area at around 88,874 for a bearish move on Bitcoin. Now, if price reclaims the neckline of the head and shoulders and starts moving above the right shoulder of the head and shoulders, I think we might see a bigger breakout to the upside. Where is that target? If we have a bigger break to the upside, that would be 98,290 right at these highs. All right, guys, that's it for today's daily update. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and all of that stuff. Take care. Thank you for watching.